Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State and his allies have pulled out from the campaign council of the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. Despite the contentious vote of confidence passed on Dr. Iyorchia Ayu as national chairman by the National Working Committee of the PDP, the party stalwarts, who shared the same vision with Governor Wike, have maintained that there will be no support for Atiku Abubakar until Dr. Ayu resigns and an acting chairman from the southern part of the country is allowed to take over. Meanwhile, the former governor of Plateau State, Jono Jang, has alleged that the People's Democratic Party national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, had a private arrangement with the Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Tambuwal, to shortchange Governor Nyesom Wike and other aspirants at the party presidential primary in Abuja.
We formed this party on the principle of justice, fair play, and equity. It is true that everything is being done for us to have internal democracy in the party. But for the national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, to go and embrace Tambuwal, calling him the hero of the convention, which means there was a private arrangement that was done with Tambuwal to shortchange other contestants, including Governor Wike. And here was a referee who now helped one of the sides to score a goal and then blew the whistle that a goal has been scored. This is not what we formed the PDP to do for Nigerians. And therefore, we unequivocally ask that Ayu has to step down.
In a quick reaction to the withdrawal of Wike and his loyalists from the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Atiku urged the aggrieved party chieftains to have a rethink and retrace their steps. He said, and I quote, "Personally, I'm quite surprised with this withdrawal because as I've been informed by officials of our party, apart from the Rivers State chapter of the PDP, all the remaining states of the Federation submitted names of people who they wanted included in the Presidential Campaign Council." End of quote. And again, the decision for Dr. Iyorchia Ayu to resign from office is personal to Dr. Ayu, and neither I nor anyone else can make that decision for him. If Dr. Ayu is to be removed from office, it must be done in accordance with the laws that set out the basis for such removal. End of quote. Now joining us to discuss the internal wrangling in the People's Democratic Party is Dele Momodu, former presidential aspirant of the PDP and publisher of Ovation magazine. Good morning, Dele Momodu, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Dr. Ruben Abati, PhD.
Good morning. Oh, well, I see you are in Morocco. Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in Morocco this morning. Thank you.
Very good. Well, a few weeks ago, you wrote an open letter to the leadership of the party, your party, the PDP, generally appealing to everyone involved or every stakeholder to give peace a chance. But it looks like the party is even more divided this morning than it was 2 weeks ago. It's like nobody listened to you. How do you feel, seeing that things are getting worse?
Well, I believe that things will calm down eventually. We will continue to appeal to aggrieved members of the party. As a journalist, you know that no matter what happens, no news can remain permanently on the front burner. And that is the reason I've been appealing to my very dear friend, my good brother, Governor Nyesom Wike, that look, don't carry it too far. If months after the presidential primary, people are still angry, people are still aggrieved, that is very unfortunate. And it's important to note something. Is it possible for an Atiku to unilaterally remove Dr. Ayu? The answer is no. So those who are aggrieved should continue to engage the party and should not say things that will destroy the party, because every day you attack your party, what you are attempting to do is to weaken the party. So if tomorrow they remove Ayu and the party is dead, then what have you gained? So for me, we just must continue to engage, we must continue to dialogue. That's the whole basis of democracy. I think our candidate has done very well. He traveled to London to engage directly with Governor Wike and his friends and his supporters, and that is the right thing to do. He's done that. What I thought they would do was come back home to Nigeria and continue the engagement. But every day there is a new threat against the party. I'm worried, especially for a man who has done so much for the party. Governor Wike has been the poster boy of PDP. He is easily the best governor in Nigeria in terms of performance, delivering on the dividends of democracy to his people and to Nigeria. He should not destroy what he has worked very hard to build.
Okay, but a lot of people argue with you, sir, that the party is already falling apart with this. Governor Wike was put on that presidential council. A lot of people thought was going to, settle the matter or at least rest the nerves. But he's removed himself and they are standing on status quo. And they are saying nothing is going to happen unless their demands are met. And this is just 5 days to the start of the presidential campaign.
I listened to Dr. Abati just now, my dear brother, Mr. Rufai, and he was quoting from a release from our candidate. Minus Rivers State, every party in this dispute submitted names, and those names were honored and approved. So if you now pull out, I don't know what to call that. I love what Governor Wike did. He didn't put anybody forward. So if he removed himself, he might say, okay, I didn't ask for you to put my name in the council. You did. I'm not interested. But what of those who put names forward? If those names were not approved, they would have accused the candidate of bad faith. Now he has done precisely what they wanted, what they requested for, and he still pulled out. So I don't know the game that is on. And in the days ahead, I'm sure things will become clearer.
Okay, well, if you look at some of the people in Wike's camp, if we may use that phrase, they look like very powerful members of the party. Chief Olabode George, one of the founding fathers of the party, is on his side. Professor Jerry Gana, another founding father of the party, is on his side. Governor Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River State, is on his side. And then you have Governor Jonah Jank, you have former Governor Dan Kwambo, you have, incumbent governor of your state, Governor Sheyi Makinde, you have Governor Ifanyu Gwanyi, also, supporting him, and others, perhaps, whose names may not be out there in the public domain. Do you think it is right, as some people are arguing, that really that support doesn't amount to much because Wike is on his own? After all, Udom Emmanuel is there. Senator Okowa is with the presidential candidate. Governor Baseki is with the presidential candidate. Governor Doyejiri is with the presidential candidate, even if you are just looking at the southern part. Do you think that Wike may just get to a situation whereby he will look around and he will discover that he's on his own?
You referred to the letters I wrote in the last couple of weeks. I am very convinced that in the days ahead, some of those who are insisting on how you must go would have to face the reality. In Oyo State, is Governor Sheyi Makinde going to pull out of PDP at this late hour? He has a second term to fight for. Wike, our governor in Enugu State, he has to protect his party in the state. Already, they are under threat from other parties. There are at least 2 other parties in the southeast that they must contend with. So the earlier we're able to resolve this, and even in Rivers, we have a candidate that has been put forward by Governor Wike. We would have to make sure he wins for the party. So if you destroy the platform on which you will benefit, I don't know what to make of that, seriously. So that's why I said in the days ahead, things will be very interesting. I'm sure I know Governor Wike very well. He's a very smart, very intelligent man. He will know when to pull the stops.
He will know when to pull the stop after the damage has been done. That's what a lot of people are saying.
No, he's
because
not a foolish man. He won't damage it because he stands to benefit from it.
But okay, let me tell you the extent of the damage that is being done now. He said something while he was, commissioning one of his numerous projects. He said that it was Alhaji Atiku Abubakar that came to him and said to him that, you must go. The Atiku camp has not been able to react to that. So that shows that they made a deal with him and he didn't fulfill the deal. Is that not, an aspersion on character of even the deal itself and integrity? Is that not a damage done to the party? The numerous other things he said about the party, is that not a damage done to the party?
I don't know what deals they make because I'm not a party to deals. But I'm aware that even late last year, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar had other candidates in mind for the chairmanship. And it is alleged that it was the same Governor Wike who worked assiduously for the success of Dr. Yeshua. So whatever happened since then, I have no idea. Look, people make deals all the time. You have a right to change your mind if things don't go the way you planned it. We all make mistakes. I want to admit that yes, some mistakes were made. And I've said this in favor of Governor Wike repeatedly. But if people appeal to you, there is no place for vindictiveness in a democracy. If people appeal to you endlessly and you insist, when it was time for Secondus to leave, he insisted. He left. There were others before Secondus who left. Look, I believe that the presidential candidate of PDP has every right to take decisions in a game of number that he feels will favor him. The moment we all agreed to participate in that primary election, and there are videos, and that's one of the reasons I'm here today talking on behalf of the party, we made promises that whosoever emerges as our winner, we shall support, including Governor Wike said that. And so if there were mistakes, and I would liken it to the game of football, a referee was believed to have compromised. So are you going to tell the winner, if let's say Man U won the game, you now expect Man U to be the one to help you remove the referee? It's difficult. That is the truth.
But sir, quickly, for the sake of the game of football and fans of Chelsea like me, there's something called VAR. That after once you score a goal and you are celebrating, then the referee, a VAR can even nullify the referee and cancel the goal. And I'm sure as a football fan, you will have witnessed that. So a lot of people are saying the argument Governor Wike is making is the VAR argument.
No, the team, your Chelsea, cannot sack a referee. Rufai, there is no way Chelsea can sack a referee. It is not the job of the winner to sack the referee that favored them. And let's be fair to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. If, as they claim, he was supported by Ayu, do you expect him to throw Ayu under the bus? What they're asking for, let's all go in the right direction. Let us go to the appropriate authorities who can make it happen. It's a constitutional issue. And that is, look, that's one of the reasons I respect Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. You cannot expect him to be a tyrant. The same people who are saying, remove this, remove that. If he should do that, were the same people who will say, oh, see, oh, he's not even president yet. He's just removing, he's hiring and firing. He's not the owner of the party.
Okay.
I mean, we are being, he's not the owner of the party. And every party member is important. And if we love our party, we have only two options. Support your party. If you don't love it, then state clearly that you don't want the party. But to insist that because of value, then the roof must come crashing down. I can't support that.
Okay, you just raised what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar said about the constitution of the party. And some people have also pointed that out, that, okay, you know, the party did not respect the constitution when it came to zoning. Former Governor Ayo Fayoshi talks about Section 7, subsection 3C of the PDP constitution, and why is everybody now suddenly quoting the constitution after disregarding the same constitution when it came to zoning? But there is something yet that has not been fully clarified. One PDP chieftain in the Wike camp was quoted as saying that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar made some promises to Governor Wike. Do you have any idea what those promises could be, beyond maybe the promise that Ayu will be removed at the initial stage? What was that promise? Does anybody have any idea about this promise?
You see, I don't like to spread rumors. I'm a journalist, and I deal only with the facts available to me. I don't know what promises were made, but whatever those promises were, I know that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar holds Governor Nyesom Wike in the highest esteem. That is why he will travel to London to go and meet with them. And what I would expect is that they will reciprocate by coming back home and engaging him further. You see, if you go on television every day abusing a presidential candidate or attacking him or saying they made promises to you, no, it has gone beyond that. These are gentlemen. These are our leaders. I expect them to log themselves. In fact, in one of my letters, I recommended, I said there should be a meeting between Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Governor Wike inside the room without any third party. Let them iron out their differences. I don't see our candidate as an impossible person. He's someone who likes to engage. He's probably one of the most experienced leaders we have in politics in Nigeria today, and we should respect him. Honestly, we should respect him. I believe there is no way Governor Wike will enter a room and they will not come out smiling. Both of them will settle the vote. If every day all you see on television is someone who is not happy with everything, well, I've advised him. I was once, a consultant to him, PR, media, and I love him so dearly. I am very worried. You see, what a lot of people stay behind, that's the sadness about politics. What people say behind is what is different from what they will say when they see Wike. A lot of people, trust me, we engage with a lot of these guys. What they say behind, they can't say it in his presence. And that's unfortunate. People must be able to look at what is the overriding interest. The overriding interest is for our party to send an APC government that has not done well since 2015. We must send them packing. That should be our interest right now.
Okay. But before you do that, a lot of people say you need to unify your party. Speaking from what you normally say that your candidate was going to unify Nigeria, a lot of people say it's difficult for you to unify your party, and how can you unify Nigeria? One of the things said by former Governor of Plateau State, General Jang, is the fact that Iyorchia Ayu said that Mr. Tambuwal is the hero of the convention. So there was a pre-planned arrangement between Mr. Tambuwal to favor the emergence of the final candidate that emerged. What would you say about this?
We have found that stage. I've said it. Mistakes were made. There were errors in the process. So are we going to live on that forever? No. That is why they are engaging. That's why they are talking. That, okay, please forgive whosoever. I mean, I'm a Christian, and one of the biggest injunctions in my faith is your ability to forgive 70 times, 7 times. So if you cannot forgive at this level, then when you get power, then you are going to exhibit vindictiveness. No, we should show love. That is why every day, in fact, even this morning, some people told me, why are you always begging Wike? I said, because it's one of the best that we have in the country. He has worked very hard for this party. We're not wasting our time. If it's just any other person, we will say, okay, leave him and let him go. But this is our own. This is our best governor. And I have seen it firsthand. And that is why we will continue to talk to him, to appeal to him. But you know, sometimes if you beat a child, people will say, oh, yes, it's good to discipline your child. But if you beat the child and the child dies, they will call you a murderer. So that is my worry about this matter.
Okay. You imagine, or you are saying, it is possible that in the days to come, there could be reconciliation, the same reconciliation that the party has not been able to forge since May. Is there the possibility that the Wike group could come up tomorrow and say that they're declaring support for the presidential candidate of another political party? Would they all be charged for anti-party activities and probably be expelled, no matter what? Is that a possibility? And if not, you'll be saying they are just bluffing. They should be disregarded. Because there are some people within the party who are saying, don't mind them. They are wasting their time.
If I thought they were wasting their time, I won't be here speaking to you. I agreed to speak to you so that I can publicly appeal to them again. If they decide to go, it's within their rights. Nobody can stop any grown man from taking a decision. If their decision is to throw their weight behind the presidential candidate, but trust me, this is my honest opinion, it will be a political suicide. That's the truth. Because they have so much at stake. So during presidential, Governor Seyi Makinde will say, oh, don't vote my party, PDP. And then a week after, you say, now vote for me. No, it doesn't work that way. That's my belief.
But didn't we see that in the past, at some point in Nigerian politics, where some governors will say, well, this is how far you should go. When it comes to presidential election, just throw the party under the bus. It has happened before in this country.
What was the result? Look, the truth of the matter is that I've just said it. If you beat a child, they will say, oh, yes, it's good to discipline the child. If you kill your child, nobody is going to do business with you. That's the truth. It happened to me once. When I lost my job at Classic and I was fighting my boss, people called me and said, you better stop it. The way you are fighting your boss, it means that the day you will fight us, you are going to kill us. I learned that lesson as far back as 1991. It's a lesson of life that everybody must learn. You cannot fight to die. No. Once upon a time, they were friends. I met Dr. Ayu in Governor Wike's house last year. We all sat together. I saw the love, between them. So if now there is a mistake, then until you kill Ayu, you are not going to be happy. So after you kill Ayu, then what do you get in return? And then you also kill your party. This is a very complicated. There is no way you remove Ayu and it do not affect all the other NWC members. There is no way. So that is why Alhaji Atiku is insisting on constitutionality. And I would like to respond to the issue of, they jettisoned the constitution of the party. They did it. Before we all agreed to contest, we knew that it had been thrown open. You will remember there was a committee headed by Governor Otton. At that time, they had a committee to go and look into the issue of zoning. You see, because the permutation this time is who can win for the party. When APC picked Muslim ticket, what was the argument? They are looking for those who can win for the party. So why should PDP not consider all options? They considered it and we agreed. If I didn't want to run, I could have pulled out to say, I'm sorry, now that the thing is no longer zoned to the south and you've thrown it open, I'm no longer contesting. But we all contested. We all climbed the stage. to speak to our supporters that whosoever comes out as the winner, we will support. So what has changed?
Okay. We'll go on a quick break. We'll come back and we'll continue the conversation. Right, welcome back to the morning show. We still have Dele Momodu, former presidential aspirant of the PDP and publisher of Innovation magazine, Bob D, as it's fondly called. Good to see you once again, joining us from Morocco. So, sir, let me just piggyback off Dr. Bati when he said they can decide to work for another party and still deliver their locality. And I'll give you an example. And you said, what's the effect? What's the result? I'll give you an example. 2011, just about 11, 12 years down the road, a certain ACM political party decided to do that. They too had a presidential candidate, Nuhu Ribadu, in the race. But guess what they did? They decided to work for the PDP, and the PDP got 65% of the votes in Lagos. And a week after, the ACN gubernatorial candidate, Raji Babatunde Fashola, got 1.5 million votes in the gubernatorial elections. What do you say to that? So it's perfectly possible and nothing happened.
No, let me respond. In that same race, I contested that year in 2011. That same race, Osun State, where Governor Aregbesola was in charge, and one of the closest to Asiwaju at the time, they refused to support such rascality. They refused. It can happen. You can instruct people, some will comply, some won't. And at that time, you will agree with me that Nuhu Ribadu was not actually a big fish in the race. That's the truth. You can't compare Nuhu to an Atiku. You can't.
So a counterpoint to that argument would be, we all know the reason why that happened in Osun. Because Governor Aregbesola had just won after a long legal battle, and he needed to consolidate. That was his first real election against another stalwart of Olagunsoye Oyinlola in the States. And it was a consolidation election, a presidential election. He had just gone through the process. So that's what a lot of people argue, that that's what happened. That if not the case, and that was the only state Nuhu Ribadu did win.
No, let me tell you, at that time, the Asiwaju group were firmly in control of the Southwest. Today, you know there are 2 or 3 contenders in the Southwest, and Asiwaju is contesting. So, if you go and support an Asiwaju against your own party, and a lot of the party faithful then decide that they are not following you, I don't think a Governor Seyi Makinde will take such a risk. But I don't know. I'm not the one in charge in Oyo State. All I am saying is it does not make sense to me. It amounts to political suicide to be in a party, destroy that party, and you use the same party to your own advantage. I mean, we're honorable men. If I decide today that I don't support Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, I will not be anywhere to be found. I will resign honorably and go home. That's all. For me, nothing is a matter of life and death. You cannot be in a party, destroy the party, and then say, next week I want to benefit from the party. Maybe I'm not a politician. I'm more of a journalist. So, but it doesn't make sense to me. And that is why I will continue to appeal to them that, look, there is no reason why you will cut your nose to spite your face. I'm very emphatic about this. If I don't like the party, I will quit the party. It's simple.
Okay, I raised the point earlier that some people are saying, okay, is it not possible for Dr. Yochi Ayu to be the statesman and say, well, if Wike and his allies think he's the problem, then he will resign and step down. But some other people say that even if he resigns, that will not solve the problem. Because if we follow the Constitution, the next person that will step in will be the deputy national chairman, who is even from the same geopolitical zone as the presidential candidate. So how can this problem be solved other than saying, okay, let's jettison the Constitution? Can the party operate outside the bounds of his constitution, just because some people argue that this will not be the first time that the PDP will violate his own constitution?
No. Number one, why are we holding Atiku responsible for this? He doesn't have the power to remove Ayu. I'm happy you're a lawyer, doctor. He does not have the power to remove Dr. Ayu. That's number one. Number two, he does not have the power to compel Dr. Ayu to resign and go. That is entirely left to Dr. Ayu to do. Look, the long and short of it is that we have crisis. We are trying to resolve the crisis, and we should appeal to those who truly love the party to work for the success of the party and for their own personal successes. We all have a lot to achieve in the party if our party wins all the elections. And there is no reason why PDP should not win, because right now we all know that APC is at its lowest ebb. They also have their own crisis. They are still battling with the Muslim tickets conundrum. No solution to that. I mean, I read what the Right Honorable former Speaker, Dogara Yakubu, released a few days ago on this same crisis. So they have their own crisis. Ours is just one major man in our party who lost an election. And I've told him, in fact, the reason why the fight becomes more difficult for him is because he is the main beneficiary in that fight. The other people who are supporting him at some point will have to make up their minds that, hey, can we continue this fight without jeopardizing our own positions? So this is why some of us must come out openly and let the world know that we are not collectively involved in the destruction of this party. I promised before the election, the primary, if I don't make it, I will support the winner. And I think we all did that. And that is a path of honor. Even if you feel cheated, leave it in the hands of God. People say, oh, don't leave it. I don't know what has happened to some of us in Nigeria. When you talk God, people get angry. At the end of the day, it's only God that gives power. Where some of us are today, we never planned to be there. If you are a governor today, by next year, you're no longer governor. Who knows where you are going next? So that is my own position. And but if they insist that we're talking nonsense and nobody wants to listen, we shall see in the days ahead. But I know that our candidate is well positioned, is very focused, and I'm very impressed with his conduct. I love the fact that he is not acting like a tyrant. Atiku is not a tyrant, and that is one of the things that will work in his favor, because he's a consensus man, and that is why he's gathering everybody and speaking to them. That is why those who forwarded names for the campaign council approved. He didn't make any noise about it. He approved. And when they pulled out, I believe it was voluntary, so be it. But I'm sure in the days ahead, it is possible that some of them will be back within the fold.
So you said you don't know why a lot of people cringe when we call God in Nigeria. A lot of people argue with you, sir. It's because that God was not called to the question when your parties laid down conventional laws on zoning were violated. That there was no conversation about God then. When the injustices were done in your party, there was no conversation about God. Then why all of a sudden you want people to just accept like that? And I'd like to ask you, what do you think this will do to your party going forward? Because even if you close ranks, your party is still split down the middle. The South will feel disgruntled. Is it going to be Another election cycle now. Then somebody from the north will say the south could have used that turn and they didn't use it. They allowed the not use it on their behalf. Is that going to be the case?
Which south will feel disgruntled? We have Governor Ifeanyi Okonkwo as vice presidential candidate from the south. In the days ahead, you don't know what the party will do in the southwest, in the southeast, in the north central. It's a balancing act. The federal government is a massive project. It should not look. And you said even in some states, some people are not feeling marginalized. I know you to be a good researcher. Go and research and see if there is any politician who is doing everything 100% according to the Constitution. The answer is no. So God comes into it because according to my own faith, I've been asked to forgive my enemies 70 times, 7 times. If there was no room for being offended, then there would have been no injunction about forgiving someone. It is nothing new. It is recognized that when people offend you and they come to you, and that is why what I think Atiku has done, the rest is between the party and they agreed. My own worry is that we seem to be saying and putting so much pressure on Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as if he can unilaterally remove a chairman of a party. Even if he should do that, a lot of us will feel very bad. That's why he cannot do it. All he can do is to speak to Dr. Ayu privately, and we don't know what is going on, between all of them. I'm sure they are talking. And I know that Dr. Ayu, it doesn't look to me like a desperado. He's a scholar. When I met him in Governor Wike's house, I remember our discussions. I gave him 3 of my books. He was very excited. He said the best gift anybody can give him a book. So I know, but nobody will want him to seem like, okay, anytime Governor Wike says you must go, you must go. That it's a psychological thing as well for the party. And you are talking about a man who wants to be president of Africa's biggest, most important nation, Nigeria. So you just instruct him, go right, go left. And it doesn't work that way. Some of these things we have discussed privately with some members of our party, and they don't believe that anybody should attempt to make our candidate look so weak, so cheap, that he can be pushed around. I mean, could I go to Governor Wike's state and just tell him, go and sack the chairman if he doesn't have the power to do so? No, it won't happen. So at any rate, that is my position.
Okay, quickly, I read an interesting piece by Olawale Olale, who is our colleague, a journalist, titled Wike and the Fabled Tortoise, comparing Governor Wike to the tortoise. And he says the story of the River State Governor, Nyesom Wike, is beginning to look like a popular wisdom-filled fable, which birthed the saying in Yoruba that Alonitiaun, Aboniti, Anoy. Well, I don't need to explain that to you. You are a master of the Yoruba language. And you also know that popular song about the tortoise in, is it Olarotime's Kurume? When the tortoise is going on the journey, and you say to him, Mr. Tortoise, when are you going to return? And the tortoise will say, not until I've been disgraced. Not until I've been disgraced. Do you think that the fable of the tortoise, as Olawale Olale is suggesting, fits into this narrative?
You know, I spoke to Wale. He's my very good brother. But he was being cheeky. But seriously, anybody who loves Governor Wike should appeal to him. In life, I'll give you an example of how to rise above certain situations. There was a time Governor Wike took this day to court. I'm sure the case is probably still in court. And some people in this day were going to blacklist him, that no, just ignore him. And I called the publisher, Nduka Bagbena. And he said, no, I should feel free to write anything about Wike. Any other person would have sanctioned Wike and said, no, you cannot appear on my platform. This is my platform. But this day rose above such pettiness and said, Dele, feel free to write whatever you want to write about Governor Wike. And this is why I keep talking to him, that look, there are people who feel aggrieved against you. And so life is give and take. And I know that in the days ahead, all of us will reunite, we will become friends again. I've been telling him since March what to expect at the primary. I'm sure he ignored it. I knew that there was a massive plan to stop him. But he was absolutely sure that he would be able to get that ticket. In every game, the Yoruba, you just said the Yoruba something now. Fighting includes biting someone with your teeth. What they did at that convention was to edge him out. And if you did not see it coming, I'm surprised, because that morning I told my team, I said, you will see what will happen, that some people are going to step down for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar today. And for me, it wasn't unexpected. So, fighting since then till now, Abba, I think we're taking it too far. The earlier we can settle it, either for or against, the better.
So, Mr. Dele Momodu, you've been able to confirm to us that unfairness was done at the party primaries, and you just bolstered Mr. Wike's point here by saying that you knew, I'm quoting your words now, that you knew that there was a conspiracy that some people were going to step down in favor of Atiku Abubakar that day, and people did step down. And Dr. Yocha, you did say that Mr. Tamboa is the hero of the primaries. So it was obvious that injustice was done against this man. It was obvious, isn't it? Crystal clear? Like night and day?
No, relax. In every statement I've issued, I've always maintained there were mistakes made, even at the beginning of this program. So are you now going to pull down the roof because there was a mistake? That's why we use the issue of your Chelsea and Man U and all that. Look, I have no doubt in my mind that he has a right to be angry. I know it. He has a right to be bitter. But are you going to beat your child to death because you are angry about the conduct or the misconduct of that baby? PDP is Governor Wike's baby. I don't know anybody who can lay claim to PDP more than Wike. He has worked so much, he has spent so much, and he has given our party a good image. Mr. Project, I have been with him in the last 2 years or so, and I have seen what he has done, and that is why we are appealing. Nobody has time to talk to somebody who is not performing. It's because of his performance that some of us respect him. But we are saying, no, don't go and tear the cloth of your father in a marketplace. That's the culture under which I was brought up, that if I have issues, once you've made your point, don't go to the extent, because if you destroy Atiku, destroy you, so then who will now see you tomorrow? I will give you an example. In Yoruba custom, the Afifilakperi, an elephant was disturbing a village, and one man came, a hunter, and he removed his cap, slapped the elephant. The elephant collapsed and died. Then everybody started carrying him Afifilakperi dancing. Tomorrow he came back to the marketplace. People were running. He said, "Why are they running?" He said, "If you can kill an elephant, we kill human beings." That is what we should consider. You cannot destroy a party and then come back to say the party. I mean, if not for the fact that PDP is a very formidable party, trust me, PDP remains a very formidable party. It's only someone who has not been in politics. I've been in presidential games since 1993 with MK Abiola, and I know that PDP remains the strongest in Nigeria today. And once we are able to manage this crisis and move on with it, things will change. We have people in the party. There are too many great men and women in PDP. So what people call distraction now, we need to take positions urgently. Those who are totally tired of the party will have to make up their minds. Those who want to remain in the party, there's no point fighting. Fighting over what again? If for 3 months you are repeating the same song, even the CD now will get one out.
Okay, you just said that the PDP is a formidable party, but recently there was a poll that circulated widely, conducted by Anna Foundation in conjunction with NY polls. And, you know, what that survey was saying is that, look, if the election were to be conducted today, that the PDP that you say is formidable would in fact come you know, a distant second and even tie with the APC in that second position. And that's, we're told, you know, a poll that was conducted using all the, you know, basic instruments of polling. So what gives you the confidence that the PDP is still formidable?
My brother, I won't dismiss any poll because I am a scholar. But I will also not dismiss the fact that Nigeria has not yet arrived at that stage where polling can be extremely accurate. In a country where 60% of the population, if not 70%, are in the rural areas, where the average voter has no access to all these instruments you are talking about, they cannot be accurate. The truth of the matter is, and I don't want to mention any name, is that today, PDP remains the most formidable in terms of grassroots, access to grassroots. I'm not talking about the elites who always feel that once you are in the cities, you control the heavens and the earth. The poll, for me, can be faulted on so many fronts, but that is not my job here. My job is to let you know that I am experienced enough in the last 30 years or so that I've been involved in presidential politics, that there are 3 key things that you look at in a presidential election. Number 1, in Nigeria, and this happens also in America, they call it the race factor. In Nigeria, I call it ethnicity. Today, the race is clearly on 3. The 4th plank I'm not so sure about. Atiku Abubakar, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Dr. Peter Obi, and then Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. But if you look at it in exactly that order, that is how it is today. APC is in deep crisis over the Muslim ticket. Religion is a major, after ethnicity is religion in Nigeria. The 3rd is availability of funds. And that will still be between, well, I know that people say they are contributing for the others, but as of today, people always look at 2 dominant political parties, even in America. Ross Perot ran a race as an independent candidate. He lost. But Donald Trump knew he needed a major political platform, and that is why he had to hijack the Republican Party. So in Nigeria today, PDP is the only party that has remained intact since 1999. Even those who say they don't like one candidate or the other, they know that is the biggest platform available to any candidate in Nigeria. That is why some of us joined the party. And when you compare PDP, that we all said was not good in 2015, to what APC has done in the last 7 years, it's like sleep and death. People are tired. A lot, even in the north, a lot of senators are migrating to other parties, especially PDP. So you will see in the days ahead what will happen.
Okay. Okay, real quickly, while Governor Wike was speaking during those commissioning, he used to say a lot of things. Number one, he said there were some people, some top generals that threatened him, even with the CIA in America. And that was because of this rambling going on in the PDP. He also said the reason why IU doesn't want to leave is because of the 14 billion that was realized by the party for primary ticket sales and the likes. I mean, what do you have to say about these two things before we wrap up, sir?
Well, I'm not aware of any army general threatening Governor Wike. We all know that in every country, the military, top echelon of military, including retired military officers, always have influence. In Nigeria, we all know how influential President Obasanjo remains. President Babangida, General Absalami Abubakar, we all know how influential they are. Lieutenant General T.Y. Danjuma, we all know how influential. That's why on your program, I call them the owners of Nigeria. Owners in quotes. People say, how can some people own? It is called influence. But to come on television and say somebody is threatening you with CIA, I think, there are things I wouldn't say on television, even if they were true. I'm not aware of that. I hope it was just an exaggeration, but whatever it was, I believe it was unnecessary to come on television and do that. I read in a book, I think by either Yikoyama or Kofi Awuno, where he said, anger is a dangerous thing. When you are angry, they will advise you, don't take certain decisions or action. Saying all those things on the camera, for me, I think is carrying it too far, if he said it. So, and about 14 billion or no 14 billion, who is the chairman of a party who would not want to administer a party he labored for, he worked for? If there is 14 billion, that 14 billion is not for him, it's to be spent on logistics for the party. I think all those things for me, again, like I said, I am not a career politician, so I may not understand. But as a businessman, there are lines I will not cross.
Well, I like that. Very quickly, let me ask you, let's go beyond the PDP as we begin to, bring this conversation to an end. INEC has released the final list of candidates for the National Assembly elections, for legislative elections at the federal level. And also, there's been some controversy lately about the integrity of the voters register, with INEC having to defend itself. I know you must have been following that conversation. What do you say about INEC's level of preparedness and the confidence among the political parties or otherwise in the capacity of INEC to deliver the same credible, transparent elections that President Buhari was only yesterday reassuring the entire world about at the ongoing United Nations General Assembly?
Yes, I was going to tell you that even the president knows that if he cannot fix electricity before he goes, if he cannot fix our infrastructure, one thing he must do very clearly will be to give us a credible election. And he's been saying it repeatedly. Look, I move around West Africa and Africa in general a lot. And I know that the INEC of every country monitors the mood of the executive. So if the executive is responsible enough to say, no, I want a free and fair election. Look at what happened in Kenya. It was said publicly that President Uhuru Kenyatta was not supporting his deputy president, William Ruto, and that he was supporting Raila Odinga. But at the end of the day, the person he was supporting lost the election, and eventually they gave it to William Ruto. It can happen in Nigeria. The best legacy remaining for President Buhari today is to ensure, because INEC is not working alone, they are working with security, they are working with all manner of agencies and all that. So it's to make sure that there's a level playing field for everybody. And then whosoever becomes president becomes our commander-in-chief, who salutes him. So everything would rest on the federal government because they have the power to make and unmake in an election.
Right. Thank you so much for that. But real quickly, as we start to wind things down, I'd just like to ask you this. You were an aspirant in the process. You saw the entire process itself. You are seeing the problems on ground as we speak now. I mean, what would you like to tell the people you contested against as regards issue-based campaign? Because a lot of people are complaining that politicians are not doing any of that. As we wrap up briefly.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we follow each other on social media. You saw that even before the primary, I went around Nigeria. I was addressing issues, and any one of them can go back and see what I did in Maiduguri, Kaduna. Even I was going, oh, Kaduna is dangerous. I went to see Sheikh Gumi. I tried and I met with Sunday Igboho. I went to OPC. I went to Sokoto. I went everywhere discussing issues. What you will do as president, you must start practicing it now. So, and that is why I believe the earlier some of us throw our support to our candidate and encourage him. No leader can do it alone. And I'm happy. I've followed Alhaji Atiku Abubakar since 1999. I've looked at the team he was able to assemble as vice president. They cut across the length and breadth of Nigeria. I am very impressed. When we went to his house to visit him 2 weeks ago, I saw Dr. Ndukwe. This man has been with Alhaji Atiku for 24 years. He didn't say because you are an Igbo man, you cannot treat me as a doctor. These are the little things I expect. And I know as a businessman, I'm in Morocco right now. I'm discussing business with top businessmen in Morocco. And I'm assuring them that from next year, you will have a man who has managed his own business successfully as president of Nigeria. And that way, he will understand the problems of making money. And they are all very excited. And we pray that by the grace of God next year, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will be the president of Nigeria. And then we can begin to promote prosperity instead of preaching penury. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Bobby, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Have fun in Morocco.
Thank you. Thank you.